Hey guys, what's up? So there was a time when getting a new phone felt like opening a window into the future, right? When Apple would announce something and the whole world would stop to watch. I still remember the first time the iPhone made me go, holy crap, this is so cool. But lately, that feeling has been a little bit harder to find. The iPhone is still great, don't get me wrong. It's reliable, it's fast, it's safe, but it's also very predictable. I guess you could say it's my boring workhorse. It's almost like Apple forgot how to be adventurous. But recently, OPPO reached out to me to review their newest flagship, the OPPO Find X9 Pro. I really enjoyed the OPPO Find N5 as a folding phone. It was a very impressive phone to me. So I was definitely curious, and during a briefing with the OPPO team, that's where they took us through all the things the phone can do, and that's also where I could feel the excitement creeping in again. Especially the camera and the battery had me going, all right, I really need to see this phone now. Fast forward a couple of weeks of me actually using this thing, and I can honestly say I'm impressed. Let's ramble.
Hold up, place go wild when I pull up. They all on me like a one-time.
Now, I have to admit that while unboxing this phone, I did get the impression that they took some serious design cues from a certain fruit company, if you know what I mean. I've had this phone sit in front of me a few times and I thought I was grabbing my iPhone, honestly. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it's a clean, modern design and it feels familiar. It's 8.25 millimeters thin with subtle curves along the sides, so it sits perfectly in your hand. The edges are flat, but they feel soft. It feels like a true flagship phone. The camera bump is also in a very familiar place, at least it is for me, but it's cool because that way it doesn't get in the way. I know exactly where it is. It doesn't matter how I hold it. My fingers won't be blocking anything. On the left side, there's what OPPO calls the snap key, clearly inspired by iPhone's action button, a small physical button you can customize, flashlight, screenshots, translation, recording, whatever you want. By default, it's linked to OPPO's AI Mindspace. A short press captures what's on the screen, a long press adds a voice note, and double press opens your saved hub directly. It's a cool feature, but of course you don't have to use it, and you could also just set this button to quickly mute your phone or pull up a flashlight or something. And on the right, there's the quick button. Again, heavily inspired by the iPhone's camera control button. Double tap to open the camera, press to shoot, swipe to zoom. It detects movements as tiny as 0.3 millimeters, and then you have the power button and of course the volume button. The build quality of this phone is really exceptional. It's rated IP66, IP68, and even IP69, meaning it can handle dust, full water submersion, and even high pressure water jets. I love that. It comes in silk white, titanium charcoal, and velvet red. They sent me the titanium charcoal and I'm not salty that they did that because it is easily the best color in my opinion. Then there's the display, and this might be one of the best I've ever used, and that is not a joke. It's a 6.78-inch AMOLED panel with bezel so thin, just 1.15 millimeters, that is just one uninterrupted sheet of glass. It hits 3600 nits outdoors, which is super bright, and that means it is actually visible in direct sunlight. But it can also drop to just 1 nit for nighttime use. That's practically candlelight levels. Combine that with 2860 Hz, PWM dimming, and it's super easy on the eyes. No flicker, no strain, it's LTPO, 120 Hz adaptive refresh, full DCI-P3, 10-bit color, and all the specs you'd expect, but it's the visual comfort that really stands out. The fingerprint scanner is 3D ultrasonic, 35% faster, and 33% more reliable than optical ones. It even works with wet fingers and it doesn't flash bright lights at you in the dark. And then there's something completely different: vehicle motion alerts. If you're someone who gets motion sickness in the car, this might actually help you. The phone displays little visual cues along the edges that move in sync with the car. Your brain will then align what you see with what you feel, and OPPO says it can reduce motion discomfort by about 15%. I mean, it won't fix it entirely, but it will certainly help. And that's innovation in a space where most companies aren't even looking anymore, and I do appreciate that. But the real magic of the Find X9 Pro is of course the camera. OPPO calls it the Hasselblad Master Camera System, and for once, that's not just branding. At the heart of it, there's a 200 megapixel Hasselblad telephoto lens, the largest and most advanced telephoto OPPO has ever built. It's co-engineered with Hasselblad down to the pixel level, and we all know Hasselblad's reputation for being elite in the camera space. The sensor itself, Samsung's ISOCELL HP5, is huge. It's 1/1.56 inches with an f2.1 aperture, and that means more light, more detail, and richer color even at night and in other low light situations. It uses aerospace grade glass to cut reflections and maintain sharpness, and it even has a floating focus design that lets you shoot macro from just 10 centimeters away. If you enable Hasselblad high-res mode, you can capture full 200 megapixel photos. That's 16K resolution. I shot this 3D printed balloon dog here in my studio, and when you zoom in, you can literally see the individual flyaways that I really don't see with the naked eye. At 3 times optical zoom, it's razor sharp. At 6 times optical zoom, it still outputs 50 megapixels thanks to direct sensor crop, and you can go all the way up to 13.2 times with lossless clarity, or 120 times if you really want to push it. They call it the ultimate concert phone, and that's not just marketing fluff. There's even stage mode that tunes contrast and sharpness for those live shows, and a 4 microphone system that isolates the performer's voice while reducing background noise. Now, for the real photo enthusiast, OPPO made something that really blew me away, and I'll show you guys. This is the Hasselblad teleconverter kit, and it's an actual optical add-on that extends your zoom range. It feels super high quality, and you can probably see that. It's very nicely built, and man, do those images look sharp. But even without it, the main camera is no less impressive. It's the Ultra XDR main camera using Sony's new LYT-828 sensor, 1/1.28 inch f1.5 aperture, and custom lens that lets in 30% more light than before. It uses real-time triple exposure for every frame, merging 3 shots instantly to deliver up to 17 stops of dynamic range. And that's comparable to dedicated 1-inch sensors. Then there's True Color Camera, an 8-channel spectral sensor that measures color temperature across 48 zones in an image. It ensures that skin tones and lighting stay consistent and accurate, so you don't get that oversaturated or orange look you often see elsewhere. All of this is powered by OPPO's Lumo image engine, which OPPO says rethinks computational photography from the ground up. And it really is remarkable because it lets the ISP, NPU, GPU, and CPU work in parallel, reducing power consumption by half while also improving detail and noise reduction. It shoots 50 megapixel default images with genuine 8K level clarity, but it can adaptively drop to 25 or 12 megapixels as soon as it detects tough conditions, and that is to avoid getting too much noise in your image. You also get 4K motion photo, capturing a few seconds of 4K video with every picture, so you can then extract a still later. And yes, it does shoot 4K 120 in Dolby Vision and log. Fully ACES certified, which means professional colorists can drop the footage right into their workflow. There's Master Mode for manual shooting, X-Pan mode for cinematic panoramas, and a new Hasselblad portrait mode that lets you pick any focal length between 1x and 3.6x with beautiful soft bokeh and perfect skin tones. Now, if you like the nostalgia of the early digital cameras, the CCD effect and the film simulation modes recreate that harsh flash look in both photos and videos. Now, let's talk performance. Inside this thing is the MediaTek Dimensity 9500 built on a 3nm process. It is paired with OPPO's Trinity engine, which fine-tunes how the CPU, GPU, and NPU share tasks, and the result, 30% faster performance, up to 55% better efficiency, and smoother frame pacing in demanding apps and games. There's a huge 36,000 square millimeter vapor chamber cooling system, and even the camera module gets thermal coverage to prevent that throttling when you're recording long 4K clips. But guys, and I know this is going to matter to a lot of us, battery life is where this thing gets really wild. A 7,500 mAh silicon carbon cell battery. That's a massive upgrade, yet the phone is still the same thickness. It can easily last 2 days depending on your use, and OPPO claims it retains 80% of the capacity even after 5 years. I really wish Apple would start using silicon carbon cell batteries because this is night and day difference. Charging is just as versatile. 80 watts Super VOOC wired, 55 watts USB PD fast charging, 50 watts 50 Air VOOC wireless charging, and 10 watts reverse wireless charging if you need to top up something like your earbuds. Apple calls its battery all day, while OPPO just calls it 2 days. So hardware wise, I think we can all agree that this thing is an absolute beast. but it's the software that gives these phones their soul. And I'm so used to iOS and Samsung's One UI that sometimes it's difficult for me to switch to other operating systems. But I have to say, I'm really impressed with ColorOS 16, because ColorOS 16 feels very familiar and even intuitive, even for an iPhone user. What's funny is that during setup, I used my iPhone to transfer all of my data and apps. You can do that now. And I literally had to change the wallpaper to something else because I kept thinking I was grabbing my iPhone. The new Luminous rendering engine makes animations feel fluid and snappy. The Flux home screen lets you resize folders into tall, wide, or full layouts that adapt automatically. You can also enlarge individual icons and then embed quick actions inside of them. For example, one-tap access to portrait mode or expand mode directly from the camera icon. Aqua Dynamics takes inspiration from the Dynamic Island for sure, but it feels a little bit more elegant. It shows ongoing things like timers, recordings, deliveries, Spotify tracks, all in small interactive bubbles that respond naturally to your touch. And with Google Sports integration, you can even follow live scores right there. You can set motion photos as wallpapers with depth effects, or enable full screen always on display, so your wallpaper and widgets stay visible even when the screen is turned off. But what really stands out is how much AI is now baked into this experience. With AI Mindspace, you can save anything: a screenshot, a web page, even text seen through a camera with a simple 3-finger swipe. It automatically recognizes what it is, ticket, date, an address, and it offers to add it straight to your calendar or notes. Now, something like that would work beautifully with a snap key. Press it once to capture, long press to add a voice note, double press to open the hub. It's like having a physical shortcut to your own digital memory. OPPO also worked closely with Google Gemini to make AI Mindspace even smarter, and Gemini can access your saved content privately to answer questions using your own context. You could literally say, hey, plan me a weekend trip based on my saved notes, and it will use exactly what you have saved in Mindspace, plus live data from Google to build you an itinerary. There's also an AI recorder built in, which transcribes speech in real time, labels the speakers, and then summarizes meetings or lectures automatically. Exportable as text, PDF, or Word. And AI Writer, which is also very cool, helps you polish those emails, draft captions, or even create mind maps on the fly. It's available right inside Notes and also in the major social apps. And for photos, AI Portrait Glow will fix poor lighting with a single tap, balancing tones and exposure very naturally, while the built-in video editor now supports full parameter control for contrast, brightness, and colors. Now, for you Mac users, and I know a lot of you guys watching this channel will be, OPPO Connect now works with both Mac and Windows. You can mirror your phone screen, control up to 5 apps from your computer with a mouse and keyboard, or even access your computer, your Mac, remotely from this phone to grab a file. And if you're moving files between OPPO devices, Touch to Share lets you just tap them together. Speaking of sharing files, by the way, I really need to shout out this app called Blip. It's a third-party app, so it has nothing to do with OPPO, but it is by far the best alternative I've ever found to AirDrop. And I have to give credit to my man Iskren over at This Is E, because he put me onto it. In fact, it's even faster than AirDrop. You do have to install it on your devices, but you have to do it only once, and then you can send back and forth as much as you want. So guys, if I had to sum up this initial review of the OPPO X9 Pro, I would say this is basically an iPhone, but better. Yes, I said it. And if you can live with leaving the Apple ecosystem, I would say OPPO built one heck of a device to get you to the other side. I'll be spending way more time with this phone, so expect a follow-up sometime in the future, maybe a comparison to the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Let me know in the comments what you would like to know. Subscribe if you haven't already, and see you guys in the next one.